Kevin Boucher, who's really the producer of all this. I want to introduce to you the former CEO of Disney, the co-CEO of the World Economic Forum, the founder of LeShack, and the first chair of the Hope Global Forum's Philippe Bourguignon.
Well, thank you, Vance. It's a real pleasure to connect or reconnect with you all today. The last time I had an opportunity to talk to this community was before COVID, so it's already some time ago. Much has changed since then for all of us, and for me personally, as I returned recently to France after 2 decades in the United States, in Washington, as partner of Steve Case in Revolution. It has been quite a transformation, both professionally and personally. I wished I could be in person today, but I was, until yesterday, a part of a forum which I'm going to tell you about in France. Throughout those years, I remained closely connected with my friends, John Bryant, Kevin Boucher, and a number of people at Operation Hope and the Hope Global Forum. I'm therefore particularly pleased to join you today and share with you a new partnership that the 3 of us have recently established between the Hope Global Forum and the Forum Économique des Banlieues, in French, which in many ways can be seen as the modest French equivalent of the Hope Global Forum. My personal commitment to inclusion is unchanged. This is precisely why I decided to join Aziz Stena, the founder of the French Forum, and Jacques Attali, the founder of an NGO called Positive, in their efforts to strengthen social and economic integration in France. The Forum Économique des Banlieues aims to enhance the participation of underprivileged neighborhoods in the broader national economic system. In parallel, Positive seeks to provide young people from these communities with the knowledge, network, and resources necessary to start and grow their own business, regardless of their background or personal circumstances. Many of you will recognize in these objectives the spirit and mission of the Hope Global Forum and Operation Hope. It was John Bryant who first opened my eyes to the power of economic inclusion as a means to restore dignity. I am now eager to apply these lessons to the French context. The partnership between the Hope Global Forum and the Forum Économique des Banlieues for the future has a dual ambition: reconnect companies, policymakers, cities, suburban communities, and foster stronger ties between the US and the French ecosystem, committed to inclusive capitalism and local development. Ultimately, this partnership seeks to generate meaningful international connections and collaborative initiatives on issues that concern both France, Europe, and the United States, with joint announcements at our respective forums to amplify their visibility and impact. I am really convinced that by working together across borders and across social divides, we can reimagine economic opportunity as a shared human endeavor. My convictions are unchanged from what I learned with all of you here over my years active at the forum. Therefore, I would like to share with you the key elements of the speech I made at the forum in Paris last week. The subject was connection. I will start with one quote from a writer I like very much, Milan Kundera, which, by the way, have used like 10 or 12 years ago at the Operation Hope Forum, Milan Kundera. Stupidity comes from having an answer to everything. So I will give you a disclaimer. I do not pretend to have an answer to everything. Definitely not. This being said, some of my statements, some of the comments I'm going to make now, some proposals may sound naive, provocative, or even aggressive. They are. But I want to be provocative because that's how ideas move forward. And I will also tell you one or two personal stories to illustrate the theories. So my first personal story is that a very long time ago, when I was young, at the end of my master in economics, I became an intern in a company based in Dayton, Ohio, in the US, obviously. It was a very successful company in that city. Everything from the library to some of the schools and many social programs, cultural programs, sport programs, library, social housing, and so on, were originated or supported by that company. It was amazing. The CEO and the management of the company were not just part of the community, they were creating the community. At that time, what we call the connection was directly with the community. Today, it is through corporate social responsibility. That's pretty good, but not the same, unless you do it with the Hope for Global Forum. A number of years later, I had a meeting on the 35th floor of an office tower in New York. And I discovered that, in fact, it was with the same company where I was an intern, but that company had merged with another one. The two combined were sold to another third one, which was sold to a fourth one, and it became a huge organization, disconnected. That company was now far removed from the community it helped create, and the city is no longer the same. I've been back in Dayton, Ohio. It's not the same as when I was an intern. How did this happen? I think that there are two main reasons why there is this disconnection. What I call the tyranny of brands and globalization. Brand first. Marketers have pushed companies to place the brand above everything else. Today, for many companies, the brand dictates decisions, not the customer, not the employees. Most decisions are made to serve the brand. Marketing should be just the opposite. The brand should reflect who you are, not define who you are. At the same time, companies in the pursuit of critical mass grow worldwide, and products become more impersonal to be able to reach everybody. And customers, as a consequence, become less loyal. To retain them, companies introduce discounts, like Black Friday, reducing profit margins. Then they launch expensive loyalty programs. To finance both those programs, they become cost killers. Suppliers keep changing, and the philosophy, my employees are my greatest asset, is replaced by, I have the best procurement system. In other words, companies become unfaithful to their suppliers and sometimes their own employees. That's the paradox of loyalty. How can you expect your customers to be loyal when you are not loyal to your employees and to your communities? It brings me to the second reason, which is globalization. Globalization had a huge positive effect worldwide, lifting millions of people out of poverty and creating millions of jobs worldwide. Not everywhere, by the way, including not always in the US, not always in Europe. But while these global companies became multinational and part of the global community, they grew detached from their local communities. In summary, being bigger does not mean being better. You grow because you are better. You don't become better because you are bigger. Artificial brands created at a global scale rather than authentic brands that embody real human connections have disconnected companies from their customers, their employees, and their communities. I am very convinced that a company that serves its community, its employees, its customers, is or will be more profitable than one that serves the market before serving people. That's what reconnection means. Let's now turn to politics. Today, it is difficult for a political leader, as well as for a business leader, by the way, to master their issues and their decision-making. To illustrate, some years ago, when I was much younger, if you were a politician or a business leader, you were kind of driving a car. The car was being driven safely along a quiet road. The driver was looking at the horizons, checking the rear view mirror once in a while, with quiet passengers in the car. Today, they are at the wheel of a racing car. They must still look at the horizon while keeping an eye in the rear view mirror, but in the back seat. On the left side, you have voters or customers, depending if it's a politician or a CEO. And the voters or customers tell them where to go. On the other back seat, the political party where the politician belongs, or the shareholders, tell them when to change gears and even try to change gears on their behalf themselves. And in the front seat, you have a journalist which watch everything and judge freely. This is complex but manageable. But in addition, what makes it real difficult is that today, there are no more signs on the side of the road. And sometimes you don't even know whether you should drive on the right or on the left. Back to a personal experience. It was in Davos when I was managing director and co-CEO of the World Economic Forum. And there was a session with President Bill Clinton, who was speaking about reconnection in politics. The person who made the introduction began by referring to a Nobel laureate prize, James Buchanan, who wrote a book in 1962 in which he developed a theory called the public choice theory. And he argued that politicians in democracies often act not in the public interest, but in their own interest, making unrealistic promises and naturally increasing public spending and debt to seduce voters. But Bill Clinton explained that this was not always true because over time, many politicians evolve into leaders who transcend politics and change their countries. The defining characteristic is their willingness to listen and work with people who disagree with them. Transformational leaders are both radical and pragmatic, and they reject the politician instinct that the opposing side is so wrong that it doesn't deserve to be heard. That's how they become statesmen. Our countries suffer from those silos. Universities, politics, entrepreneurs, social leaders, institutions are all operating in silos. This hurts development, it blocks talent, slows investment, and prevents the emergence of tomorrow companies, particularly in the complex neighborhoods. When those worlds connect, when you connect educators, researchers, companies, policymakers, and others, you create an environment that gives young entrepreneurs the resources they need. In short, companies have been part of the problem. They must now be part of the solution. So must politicians and governments. In fact, they should work together. Have chosen to get involved in initiatives that break those silos, and why I decided to get involved in Operation Hope and the Hope Global Forum, as this is what this forum you are participating in does, thanks to John Bryant. And this is why also I decided to get involved in the Forum Économique des Banlieues in France and Positive. French suburbs have huge growth potential, just like US suburbs. Same thing in France. So now it's time to conclude. I've been very lucky in my life that the combination of two opportunities. One, encounter amazing people. And I say encounter because very often it's a coincidence or it's a hazard. And also, I've been very lucky to live very defining moments. So I want to tell you that one encounter which has marked me is meeting John Bryant. And one moment in my life, one of those defining moments, was the first Hope Global Forum I participated in. So I hope that this forum, for all of you who already came, as well as for you who came for the first time, will be a moment for you. And that at the end of the forum later today, you will be reconnected with the rest of the world. Thanks so much.
I'm a Queen of Fame. I'm a part of the One MBB initiative
Yes.
and also the Credit Money Management Program. And Teresa Tumber is my coach. I'm the founder of Drivable. We're an inclusive ride share or car share company. So we provide accessible vehicles for people with disabilities and limited mobility to have on-demand rides. My coach, I know I cannot sing her praises enough. I feel like she has gone above and beyond. She's provided so many just resources for me to resources and just guidance, things I didn't know. I mean, I came to her and I had an idea, and I thought I had some, I was taking some steps. She just kind of showed me, she took the steps I did take and she grew that. She showed me how my personal credit impacted my business, the funding aspect of it, the resources with like the partnership with Fulton Bank, and having Dr. Sherrod there and just, with his guidance and being able to just kind of touch him, talk to him and say, hey, what is my business plan need to look like? Even a business plan in itself. I'm not lying. I never thought I would have been able to do a business plan. I, in fact, never did one. I've never done a business plan before because it just, it's daunting. You look at people's business plan and you see like 50 pages and I'm like, there's no way. So I never even tried, Miss Teresa is no nonsense, and if you follow her steps and with her guidance, you will get a business plan done. My business plan ended up being 30 pages. I would have never guessed that, I would have had that. And now when I, interact with other organizations, other, CEOs and founders and businesses, and I have my documents right in front of me, that's the first thing they see. It makes a great impression and they know I'm serious. So, I mean, those are just a couple of the things, but it's been so many different things. I've been sending people to you guys, sending people to Operation Hope and sending people to her specifically because I see the passion in her, and just her experience, and she already did it before. So the coaching coming from someone who has been there where I am, and also just her believing in me is just super impactful. Even when I felt like I failed, I was able to just reach out, say, hey, this is what I have going on. She pat me on the back. Okay, you get back up now. It's time to, get back out there and do what you gotta do. So yeah, and I'm very thankful. Honestly, I'm very optimistic about the outlook of Black business. I feel like with Operation Hope and people like Miss Teresa, I really see us having those resources and then being able to not only use them for ourselves, but share with others, share what we've learned. I've been able to do that myself at least 3 times. So if, hopefully, with people like her planting those seeds within us, we can also do the same, plant the seeds in other people or refer, the resources there are amazing. I can't say I just you know I feel like there's a lot of hope for success in our community.
My name is Brooke Ratliff, and I am a small business coach with Operation Hope here in the Detroit area, thanks to my funder, Fifth Third Bank. My background is small business accounting and tax. I did that for 15 years. Worked a little bit with the IRS. And then I wanted to put those skills into practice in a way that I could just feel really good and celebrate with people. This is Roller Skate Detroit. And just being able to walk with a client, you know, down the path of becoming an entrepreneur, checking all the boxes, getting his business plan together, and shopping for his space and actually having a grand opening. It's just been a great experience, and he's just going to keep going. I met him as my roller skate instructor. Like, he taught me how to skate. He was talking about, you know, his dreams and his goals. And, you know, he signed up for my business development class. And at one point, it just kind of clicked in his head. And he just said, I'm going to go for it. I will tell you the three things all my really successful clients have, like basic financial security. They got a roof over their head and food in the fridge. They have support from friends and family. He's had that. They have a basis of real skill and expertise in the business that they're going to start. He's had that. And the third thing is, because they've got the skills and expertise and experience, they know how to scale. They can make it smaller, they can make it bigger. You know, Keith started teaching where there was space available, and that created the business. So the space that we're in now, that was just part of the scaling. That was just part of the expansion. What I am most optimistic about are my MVP clients who are intelligent, and hardworking, and educated, who got that basis of skill and expertise related to their business, that they're going to move forward. It's a long game, but they're going to play it. And there's going to be one grand opening and one ribbon cutting after another in the next 5 years.
Please welcome to the stage award-winning journalist, local legend, Donna Lowry.
Good morning, everyone. How's your energy? Because you need to be excited. We have such a wonderful rest of the morning for you, and we're going to talk about a topic everyone in this room cares about, and that is artificial intelligence. We're going to talk about AI. We've got some of the most important global leaders in AI conversation for you today. So please join me in welcoming from Mountain View, California, the President and Chief Investment Officer for Google, Ruth Porat, and from the United Arab Emirates, the ever Minister for AI in the world, the Minister of State for Artificial Intelligence, His Excellency Omar Sultan Al Olama. And right here with us in Atlanta, please join me in welcoming the fabulous Mr. Van Jones.
All right, I am excited. This is my favorite topic in the world, artificial intelligence. And we're now going to get a chance to talk to two of the heavyweights. Google, obviously, a powerhouse in this space, growing every day, but also states matter, governments matter. And the UAE has the first ever minister of AI. 10 years ago, that would have seemed like science fiction. That's now science fact. So What we're going to try to get out of this conversation with, these are like literally two of the giants in this field. And give it up to John Hope Bryant for getting us the best people in the world to talk to and to learn from. I want to start with Ruth. Listen, part of the, there's a hope AI is going to give us heaven on earth, and then there's this fear is going to give us hell on earth. And somewhere in the middle is the truth. And I just love to hear from you. What do you see as the actual practical next 5-10 years of both progress and peril for AI? Just give us your overall statement about where you see the opportunity and where you see the peril.
Well, first, it's great to be with you as always, and simply wonderful to see you again. So there are a number of areas that excite us about the upside from AI. There's the economic upside in the US. It's estimated to be $4 trillion if we see this adopted across businesses, small and large, and government. It's the opportunity to improve delivery of education, of healthcare, to advance science. But I think if you want just the short, what do I think of when I think about the opportunity with AI? It is that the art of the possible has changed. And the place that hits me most deeply and that I get most excited about is what it means for all of us with respect to health. Because that does affect every one of us, our children, our siblings, our parents, ourselves. And the art of the possible is completely changed. So as I'm a 2-time cancer survivor, which is probably why I keep anchoring back to this. And so I always turn to my health and say, test everything out with him. The first area is early diagnosis of disease can be the difference between survival and not. And with AI, you can augment, support, fortify the radiologist. My oncologist has said the only way to democratize that early detection is with AI. The second is there are not enough nurses and doctors across America, around the globe. We can save 30 to 50% of their time with AI, freeing them up from the administrative so they can do what we want, which is focus on the patient. That's what they want, that's what we want. We can empower everyone with, and we are, these are not like, to your point, science fiction in the future, this is here now. We are empowering people with more information. And so again, my oncologist says that means doctors have to be at the top of their game because we as patients are better informed. And then the most exciting is it is realistic to say with the advances in science that we will cure diseases in our lifetime. I'm privileged to work with someone who won the Nobel Prize for something that is described as the biggest contribution to drug discovery in our lifetime. It's called AlphaFold. We can cure cancer in our lifetime. That is not out of our reach. So that's what I get excited about. And much of it is here and now. It's here now. And then more to come.
Well, look, first of all, that's exciting. You should applaud. Somebody said we're going to cure disease. But folks are scared. Folks feel like, there's bad things coming. People are scared they're going to get pushed out of jobs. What do you say to the people who are concerned? I think in our community, sometimes we're threat sensitive, even before we're opportunity sensitive. And we're all friends here. We're speaking among ourselves. Where do you see some threats and some challenges that people should be aware of and begin to prepare for as we shift into a new age? New positive possibilities, also maybe some perils. How do you look at the peril side of it?
Yeah, that's such an important question. I really like the way you framed it, threat sensitive more than opportunity sensitive. So at Google, when we talk about AI, any technology that has the potential to have this kind of impact, we want to be bold and responsible. We want to help people capture the upside and protect from that downside. And you're 100% right. There's downside risk. I think the one that most people are concerned about is what does it mean for me, with my job, for my family, my ability to provide, where do I go with this? And I think a couple of data points, because I keep going back to history. 85% of economic growth throughout history is attributable to technology. 60% of the jobs that exist today did not exist 80 years ago. They have always evolved. And throughout change, more jobs have been created than destroyed, which is absolutely not helpful if you're the person whose job is eliminated. And so I think the couple of elements, when we look at what that means, first and foremost, going to the heart of your question, jobs will evolve. They will change. They have throughout history. We each need to get fluent as possible with AI. And the beauty of it is that the magic is done by the computer scientists. Like, many people are using AI today and don't even see where they are. In search, you're using it. You can play with it to support creating better art, history, like pulling from the content that's available. It's when you go travel and it's Google Translate, that's using AI. So there are places that we're using, but the magic is actually under the hood. And so what we have done, and John O'Brien has done so much on this, we focused on skilling and training and giving people the confidence and the fluency. We created something called an AI Opportunity Fund. We've done digital skills training so you can get certified in areas like cybersecurity or data analytics, and literally have in a 3 to 6 month period the proficiency that's needed so you can evolve with jobs as they evolve. So that's point number one. Point number two, many jobs actually are augmented by AI, not replaced by AI. They make you stronger. It's like having a coach. And so it's not necessarily about finding new roles. It's about having the skills to operate at the highest level, just like when I started in my career.
I think it's so good. So just say again, there's the fund is an AI Opportunity Fund. Is that correct? Did I get that right?
AI Opportunity Fund.
How does that work?
To train. So if you just
how do I get in?
So Google, just go ahead and Google. You can get online training. We also have the Grow with Google skilling, so you can actually learn specific areas. Google it, you will find it, and we're providing it so individuals can do it. We're working through local organizations.
See,
this is really important to get out to full communities.
Yeah. It's important because, listen, when you're a delegate, when John O'Brien lets you be a delegate here, you're an ambassador. So a lot of this information is not getting out to people. And so, there are resources that are available to us to not just not get left behind, but to leapfrog and to lead. And Google's making that available. So give a round of applause to Ruth. Now,
if I could thank you for that, if I may, just one point, because it's so important. Each of us can learn this easily. And that's what you'll find. And what I have found when people go through training programs is it's not just the skill that they get through what we call AI Essentials, and Google that, but it's the confidence that actually this is doable for each one of us. Yeah. And that's why we're really proud to work through so many local organizations that can reach out to their community so that everyone has access to the training.
Oh, that's awesome. And by the way, I'm with the organization dreammachine.org. If you can apply for my group. Okay, look, I got low self-esteem. Y'all got to encourage me now. Look. So that's it. Thank you. Dreammachine.org is also a place where you can get in line for some tremendous educational resources. Now, I am actually jealous of our next guest. Before you, sir, I had the coolest job in government as far as I'm concerned. I was a special advisor for green jobs to Barack Obama. That's a good job. That's a cool job. But I think now you have the coolest job in government ever, to be the first minister of AI. Now, this is extraordinary. First of all, how'd you get this job? No, I'm just joking. That's on Wikipedia. You can get that. Why is the UAE moving so aggressively to put government in alignment with this? And what are you doing to make sure that as you guys scale up, you're also scaling up your people? Because you're setting a precedent for every government on earth. And that's why John wanted you here. Why are you focused on this, and how are you using this to bring the people who might be left out into the conversation?
Thank you very much for that. And in all honesty, I don't think you should be jealous. Try to be jealous after I retire. In this job, one's doing a good job until the very end. I've been in this position since the year 3 BC, so 3 years before COVID in 2017. And it feels like a few millennia. It feels like there's a few lifetimes that have passed. Now, when it comes to the UAE's ambition on this, and this brings me back to hope, our region used to export science, technology, culture, and had the broadest and biggest economy in the world at one point of time. So for over 600 years, the Middle East was the most advanced part of the world. And something changed. And what changed is a lesson for all of us. We focused at one point of time at actually embracing technology and using it. And in the year 1455, there was a technology that was invented that had the opportunity to change the world. Every single civilization embraced it. The only civilization that banned it was the Middle Eastern civilization, which was the printing press. When the whole world had access to knowledge, we were the only region where, unfortunately, you had to get on a horse or a camel for multiple weeks to be able to access knowledge. And that completely changed our region. We went from being the most advanced part of the world to being one of the most, unfortunately, underdeveloped parts of the world. With AI, we believe the opportunity is going to be as big. It's going to help countries leapfrog. It's going to help nations either have access to the future or be backwards. And we want to be one of the countries that leads the future. Now, when it comes to what we've done, if you look at the UAE, we're a country of around 10 million people. We've already done programs to train 1 million how to become super users of artificial intelligence. So that's 10% of our population by the end of next year. And we're actually not going to stop until every single person in this country, be it rich or poor, be it a citizen or a non-citizen, become a super user of this technology and is able to create using this tool to change the world.
That's awesome. Look, I love the vision. I love how inclusive it is. You said citizens and non-citizens. It sounds like you feel like everybody counts and everybody matters. Imagine that. Government that feels like everybody counts and everybody matters. I like that. But, to your point, you're representing, folks who may have felt left behind the last century, the last several decades. There's a hunger to catch up. And yet there has to be actual programs and things that governments can do. And we need to learn from you. Sometimes in the United States, we think we have to teach everybody. We need to be learning from folks. What are some of the concrete things that you're doing that you think will be helpful to the companies and to the people? Concrete steps from your government.
Excellent. So I'm going to give you maybe a few very broad things that have worked for us. And maybe later we can talk about the things that didn't work for us. And it's good to be transparent about these things because it's always good for people to learn from each other. The first thing is, in most countries, there is no one leading the conversation when it comes to artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence isn't coming, it's already here. Artificial intelligence is the most addictive technology we've ever invented. It's more addictive than anything else. And that's why you can't let go of your phone. That's why you use it to get all of the information that you want to get. That's why you use it for everything, right? It knows more about you than your loved ones. And it's the most fundamental technology that has shaped our lives over the last decade or so. Why aren't governments doing anything about it? In the last 200 years, every single time a technology has reshaped the world, there was a ministerial portfolio that was created for it. When we were living off coal and wood fire, there wasn't a single minister of energy. But when electricity became so important for governments to deliver the promise of prosperity to their people, ministers of energy and secretaries of energy were introduced across all governments around the world. The same is true for ministers of aviation, ministers of ICT, ministers of telecommunications. With every single technological leap, there was a ministerial portfolio that was created. Why aren't we doing that for artificial intelligence? It doesn't make sense. It's already here. It's not coming. Now, what we've done, first and foremost, is we have a chief AI officer in every single government department across the government. These guys are the orchestra. They ensure that every single department understands the overall vision of AI, and one deployment does not harm people across other sectors. So let me give you an example. If you look at AI for healthcare, if I deploy AI for healthcare, but that increases your insurance premiums, it's actually a bad thing. Even though AI for healthcare is excellent, the fact that you need to be paying more because the insurance companies are being able to use these tools to identify if you have any challenges when it comes to paying your premiums or living a long healthy life, that's a challenge when it comes to government deployment of AI. So this orchestra ensures that the main focus of AI is improving quality of life. Our ambition from this is AI for quality of life improvement. The second initiative we did, we don't shy away from big, bold initiatives. So we have an initiative called 1 million AI prompters, which is training 1 million people how to become super prompters of AI and wielding this tool to reshape their lives in whatever sector that they want to use it for. And there is no prerequisite to joining this program. You just sign up and you have access to it. The third thing we did was every single time someone comes to you, they will tell you that they're working on the greatest AI tool. And one thing that you can see, if you go to LinkedIn today, whether someone's a truck driver or someone's a consultant, the skill sets always say AI. Everyone thinks that AI is the hottest thing, so they add it to their CVs. They claim that it's a thing that they're using. So as a government, we launched a program called the AI Seal. We actually assess different use cases of AI, and we give them rankings. So any company, any government department that wants to use the tool understands, first, is it good for society to use this tool? Second, is it built credibly on an AI foundation? And third, is it something that is built in the UAE or abroad? And it's perfectly fine if it's built abroad, but it increases transparency. And then finally, we have AI actually deployed as a key curriculum within our schooling system. So kids from kindergarten to grade 12 all learn about artificial intelligence, what AI is going to do for them, how they're going to become users of this technology, and the ethics related to AI.
Listen, that's really extraordinary because, it's such a compliment to what Ruth was talking about. So this is something we got to be careful about. AI will give doctors the ability to target disease with clear, sharp precision. But it could also give insurance companies the power to target people with those diseases with higher premiums. Now, see, I hadn't thought about that. That's why we need government to be in here trying to figure out how to make sure this has a net positive benefit. Because if you now know what the disease is, but your insurance premium goes through the roof, that doesn't help you. And so this is what I'm saying. We have to start learning from what other folks are doing. The other thing I think is important. You are correct. Everybody now is an AI expert. There needs to be some kind of a standard where, we have some kind of understanding about, as employers, who can actually do what. That's something you got to step forward on, and then obviously letting the young people know. So look, we have about 10 minutes left, and I got 30 questions. I was so transfixed by what you guys are talking about. It's so good to talk to people who actually have the power. So I just want to go back to you, Ruth. I have a kind of a weird question. This is not going to help anybody in here, but but John asked me to do this, so I'm going to use my privileges. I'm concerned about people who don't speak English, who don't speak all the major languages. Half the world speaks languages that are not on Google necessarily. If you're really going to uplift the whole world, and Google has the power to do it, how are you going to include people whose languages are not even being spoken, people who are indigenous people who are, there's a lot of people who could be left behind just because it's not even on the keyboard. How do you think about that?
I love your question. It is so core to the way Google has thought about this for many, many years. You're 100% right. I was brought up, my parents always said, education is a passport for life. And to be able to access information in your native tongue, in your language, is so valuable. We started translating providing Google Translate 20 years ago. In fact, the first language His Excellency and I spoke about was Arabic. For 20 years, we've been working on this. With AI, we've been able to increase the number of languages. It's almost like a vertical lift. the ease with which we can do it. So we now translate in 250 languages. We have a goal to provide in 1,000 languages. We're still working at it. We have Google is available in 16 Arabic dialects, because you're correct. And I will tell you a story that really struck me. I was speaking with the digital minister in Togo, an extraordinary woman, Sina Lawson. She made 2 points that really hit very much to your question and underscore the imperative about it. She said in Togo, there are 3 official languages. And there was a time where you had to learn French before you could learn math. Talk about putting an obstacle to learning. But now with Google Translate, that is no longer the case. The other point, which is a bit off of your topic, but I think builds on it, is that she made this point as well. The median age in Africa across the continent is 19 years old. Her point was, you can't have enough teachers to educate half of the entire continent, but with AI you can.
Wow.
So it's presenting in language and then
Good.
giving
That's good.
access to learning, going on that journey. Students can use AI, but you can also augment teachers. So I think what you've said is so important, and it is very core to our view that this has to be, as His Excellency said, we need to be designing and thinking about it so that it opens doors for everyone while recognizing the problems that you appropriately tagged as, like, let's prevent the downside.
And I want to go.
250 languages.
Look, I didn't realize that you're already doing 1,000. You guys are way ahead, which is inspiring. Again, people don't know stuff, and that's the reason why here we can go out and let people know. And then, back to you. I am curious. There are going to be people who are watching this from other countries, not just the United States, and they may not have the resources that you have in the Middle East. They may be in Africa. They may be in Latin America. What's the most realistic path for those countries who want to participate? What would you advise someone who's from a less resource-rich area, but people resource? What should they be doing and not doing in government? Omar.
So the first thing I'm going to say is most of these tools, they can use fundamental basic necessities to access the digital age is necessary for any government, right? And then guiding people towards them. One of the initiatives that we did, which I think is extremely crucial for governments, even the US government and others. So we did an initiative called AI in the Arena, where we actually tried to assess every single large AI model according to our culture, our history, to see if it understands who we are, where we came from, what our history was, our language, our dialect, our sayings, and so on and so forth. One of the reasons why I wanted to do that is if you're getting the whole population to be educated by these tools, you need to understand what these tools' view of you is. Do they see you in a positive view? Do they see you in a negative view? Like, let me give you an example. Does the cutting-edge AI model see Arabs as sophisticated or unsophisticated? Does it see them as hardworking or not hardworking? And the same is true, by the way, for certain minorities in the US. The same is true for other groups of people around the world. Now, do you know which model ranked #1 in that assessment?
Which?
It was Gemini. So I would like to congratulate Ruth on stage.
Thank you, Ruth.
But the whole purpose of this is 2 things. The whole purpose of this exercise, first, is for our people to understand that these tools today, if they have a negative view of us, then we need to be aware of the results that they're giving us. It's not that we are, unproductive or not smart. It's that these tools need to be, retuned. And second, it's for the companies to understand that we are aware and that we're going to work with them to try to show them the blind sides of the technology. No technology is perfect. When electricity was invented, there were houses that were going on fire because circuit breakers were not invented at the time. Governments came and shed light to certain things where regulations were put in place, and then the inventions to stop the negative ramifications of the technology were invented. So I think that's one of the things that the governments can do.
Look, I mean, it's give a round of applause. It's like I feel bad. I feel bad that on my day job we aren't having these kind of conversations more. Because there's reason for hope. Sometimes I think on the news we wind up depressing people, distressing people, and yet every problem and concern that people are having, there's at least some answers for. So I want to give another round of applause to our guests. I also want you to know that because of John Hope Bryant's advocacy in this arena, a guy named Sam Altman, who you guys may have heard of, decided to create a whole AI ethics council, a council to help advise him to avoid some of these problems, some of these mistakes or whatever. And because you know how John is, he insisted that the world's first minister of AI join that council. So I'm able to announce today on stage that Omar is now going to be working with John Hope Bryant to take these ideas to Google, to OpenAI and beyond. That's the kind of leadership that you're getting, and you heard it here first. I think John was going to probably announce that later, but I just decided to do it. And look, in the couple minutes that we have remaining, if we do this right, if we minimize the pain and maximize the gain, you get 60 seconds, now we're going to do a live TV thing. You get 60 seconds, you get 60 seconds. Paint a picture of the world in 10 years if we get this right. I know you're working hard at Google. I know you're working hard in the UAE. There are other people here who are working hard. But paint a picture of what it would look like if we get this right. How is the average person, average family member going to see the world differently when they wake up in the morning? You go first, Ruth.
I think if we get this right, and we're all working hard to do that, what you see is it empowers small businesses, medium businesses, large businesses, and so you get the economic upside, which means jobs for people, which means being able to pay for the kinds of things our society needs: better healthcare delivery, better education, better infrastructure, clean water in every town. We can pay for the things we need, and that people will have different kinds of jobs, but they're going to be able to have a rich, meaningful life. There's access to information. They can see their children educated better because they go on individual journeys. Their teachers are supported. You get healthcare in every part of our country and around the globe. If we get it right, we're saying we've got to focus on the digital divide that has hurt this country and polarized so much of what we're seeing. That's what we need to do. We need to make sure that this is something, as His Excellency has said, we're focused on this at Google. This has to be for everyone. And so designing that it can be a support for everyone to go on that learning journey, be an uplift. I talk to small business owners, and it's exciting to hear when them talk about their ability. The art of the possible has changed. It's the ability to serve people in different ways. And so that to me is what's the exciting element of it. Even things, I know John Hope Bryant talks a lot about the importance to get financial literacy addressed so that people have control over what's so important. They work so hard to develop. Well, with AI, you can actually deliver services in ways that were only for the elite at one point, because you can change unit economics. So there are ways to better deliver. That's what we're all trying to work on, that it is support for everyone and that we have done that hard work to mitigate on the downside.
That's awesome. That's hopeful. Give her a round of applause for her commitment. She didn't have to do it the right way. She could do it the wrong way. She's doing it the right way. And we appreciate you and Your Excellency.
So I'm going to give you a different view. I think that historically, technology has always been an amplifier of our physical abilities. So technology, whether it was the steam engine, whether it was electricity, whether it was computers, always tried to improve our physical abilities and maybe make long distances shorter. For the first time in our history as a species, we have a technology that's able to amplify our cognitive ability, give us access to intelligence, or hopefully make us more intelligent. What that would mean is, I think we're going to see the revival of the Renaissance man or woman, which is an individual that's a polymath, an individual that can learn many things and contribute to many different sectors. That is the vision, right? The vision is that we finally enter a world where you don't have to be specialized in one domain. You can be specialized in many domains. And how that would translate into the world is, I think for the first time in history, we have a chance where It doesn't matter where you're born. It doesn't matter what your skin color is. It doesn't matter if you're low income or high income. You're able, through grit and hard work, to leverage these tools to create opportunities. It's going to mean that the American dream is not going to be reserved to America. It's not going to be reserved to the UAE. It's going to be a global dream where opportunities are going to be universal for anyone that has the ability to work hard and apply their knowledge. And I think in the UAE, we believe that it will also amplify the voices of countries and communities that historically were not amplified because of their size, because of their history and otherwise. So I believe if we're going to get it right, that's what it will equal to. It will equal to equal opportunities for everyone.
That's awesome.
And then just one tiny thing, if I may. It's not just the Renaissance person, if I can. We also have to build the infrastructure, because you can't have this without the energy to deliver it. That means more electrical worker jobs, more plumbers, more welders. There's an entire other set of jobs that we're training for, and we've got training programs on that as well at Google, because we think that's so important. So there are two paths.
Hey, listen, heart, head, and hands all can be amplified. A round of applause. This is extraordinary. This is extraordinary. I'm going to bring this to a close. I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you're saying. One of the things you mentioned about being a polymath, which is a really cool term for what a lot of you guys already are. Brilliant in multiple categories. Brilliant in multiple categories. And we got a room full of people like that. And now we can put a jetpack under each and every one of those skills, so you're going to be able to do stuff you've never done before. In fact, myself, I'll make my own announcement. I've stepped into the world of AI, trying to take my passion for bringing people together, and we launched today something called WorkBetterTogether.ai. WorkBetterTogether.ai. And please go check it out. You can get 60 days of free help, 60 days of free help for your companies with WorkBetterTogether.ai. Because I want to be a polymath, and we all can be. And so that's one good announcement, but here's another one. Something's about to happen that's going to be in the history books on this stage. Remember I said it. Remember I said it. We're going to bring out a few more guests. We have a very special announcement. There's been a gap between our communities and this whole AI boom. That gap is about to collapse. That gap is about to close. So I want you to remember, look at your watch. I want you to remember where you were. I'm not joking. Where you were, how you were feeling when this next group of people takes the stage. I want you to welcome the chair of the board for the United Negro College Fund and 100 Black Men of America, Mr. Milton Jones Jr. A giant. The CEO of Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America, Artis Stevens, back to the stage, a giant. And it goes without saying, a leader for our time. Someone who is transforming the civil rights movement into a silver rights movement. Somebody who has brought us here together, the great John Hope Bryant, for a major announcement. A major announcement. Thank you, brother. Good to see you.
Hello, Atlanta and the world.
Get close to him so it could be in the shot.
Have you enjoyed this so far? I was running around, so I don't know if this was made clear. His Excellency from the United Arab Emirates, that was just on screen, who is the first Minister of Artificial Intelligence for any government in the world. I'm proud to announce today that at about 4 this morning, the UAE issued or agreed to issue a press release in concert with Operation Hope, placing the minister on the board of directors of the AI Ethics Council, for which I co-chair with Sam Altman. That takes this work internationally, in fact, makes it global. There are other announcements that will be coming. I was invited to go to the UAE to speak in February, and I'm going to try to honor that request. Let me now get to the meat of the matter. By the way, didn't Van Jones do a great job in that last session?
Thank you, sir. Love you, brother.
And Ruth Porat, I don't, you know, there's a lot of presidents of this and presidents of that. When you're president of Google, that's like being prime minister of the UK or something. I mean, it's a big deal. And to have a woman in that role, in particular, I think it's incredible. Ruth, we love you and respect you and appreciate you. She is brilliant. And thank you, Michael Milken, who made that connection for her and me. We're sitting once again in a moment in history. I call this the third Reconstruction. I thought I had the narrative worked out and correct, that first Reconstruction was freedom, Civil War, post-period, Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, so many heroes and sheroes of that era. Then second Reconstruction, 20th century, 1958, about 1968, 1970. Dr. King, Coretta Scott King, Dr. Dorothy Height, Ambassador Andrew Young, John Lewis, a bunch of heroes and sheroes that reset this country, and that was about access. And we're honored to have Ambassador Young, of course, with us at the Forum Living History. And yes. And then the third Reconstruction, I believed was and is about opportunity and ownership. Financial literacy is a civil rights issue of this generation. And we need to go from the streets to the suites. You've heard me say that before. Yes. And you can do it. I talked about the colors, not black and white or red or blue. It's green. Okay. And I still believe that. And it's hard to get me off my focus. And I've been passionate about this issue and unrelenting. And I believe that we're in the third Reconstruction, and you always have 5 years of disruption, 3 to 5 years leading up to Reconstruction. So you have the assassination of Abraham Lincoln leading up to the first Reconstruction. You had the assassination of Dr. King in the second Reconstruction. And I believe you had the assassination of George Floyd at the triggering effect in COVID in the third Reconstruction. I thought this was all worked out. Then I met this guy named Sam Altman. And Sam asked me to come out and come by his office. He's wearing some jeans and a t-shirt, as I recall. And I was suited and booted. And I thought I was refined. I had the world all figured out. And then Van, he opened up his MacBook, I think it was mid-2022, a beta sample of this thing that you now call ChatGPT. It hadn't been publicly announced, and I could not process what I was looking at. But I knew at that moment that the world had just changed. And later on, I'll save you the story. Later on, he said, John, what should I do? You gotta make sure you involve underserved communities. We are always left out. We need to be part of the dialogue on the front end, the beginning. And so he promised to come on a tour of underserved communities. His office called. Sam's really busy. He can't do the tour. I said, no, he has to do the tour. So I called him directly. And he said, let me work on this. He called me a couple months later, said, look, the president of the United States back then The Biden administration wants me to come to the White House. Is there any chance when I leave the White House I can come to your house, come to Atlanta? Can you host me in 3 days? Sure. I just said yes, had no idea what we were going to do. It was 2 in.the morning, I called Dr. Atlanta University in the civil rights movement. It happened, and I can't tell you what it's going to be. Everything was a horse. 1850, 1860, 1870, 1880, 1890, 1900. 1 out of 10 jobs was a ferry. Very eloquent statement. Very organic. And but that was environment. You had it was wealth. It was it pulled your Cadillac, what do you call it? The wagon. The wagon, and here comes the automobile. It wasn't one manufacturer. It was 109 manufacturers, and most of them fears. You're going to go from a human-centric economy to a technology-centric economy. Everything's going to change. Because your job's going to be taken by somebody who can use a job, making 6 figures, Caucasian, educated, whatever, and you are lazy about the future. It's going to take your job. Van Jones gave me credit for a quote. It's really his. 99% of black people don't know a thing about AI, but 99% of white people don't know a thing about AI either. It's equal opportunity discrimination. We are living right now, rainbows only, free friends who say, oh, other, almost do anything with. That's right. I am proud to tell you that for the first time in 33 years, almost do anything with. That's right. I am proud to tell you that for the first time in 33 years, I had to look at financial literacy, which has been years. I had to look at financial literacy, which has been my single literacy. Today, we need to have civil rights and silver rights. Financial literacy to the world. Hope A to the world. Hope AI.
No. No.
First national nonprofit organization to frame a national support system for underserved communities. Support system for underserved communities around artificial intelligence. 1,500 offices that, if you want to get a job, really everything around you is going to be reimagined. AI in screens going to be reimagined. AI in screens, AI in furniture, AI in carpet, AI in ski behind me. The second part of this is called community AI. And that's where we're going to take all the nonprofits in this country with $1 million cost of membership in community AI school tools. To plug in, you need data. You need school tools. To plug in, you need data. You need accounting. You need systems. You cannot just have a dream. You cannot, as Dr. Dorothy Height said, John, profits will have a chance to have a membership in community AI, plugging into the essential tools that allow you to be competitive. And we're going to have our coaches coaching you up to allow you to enter the markets of the future. We're going to make sure our people are educated in AI. Otherwise, they won't. That today, the first founders, the founding signatories to a new distribution channel for AI is 100 Black men of America. They'll be hearing soon our first dreams. They start modest, they start small, and they grow. You're going to see more tech companies sign on to be next to Shopify. You're going to see more community partners sign on to join them. If we don't have 30 national partners by the first quarter.
Let me tell you, I am proud to be on this stage. And John, let me tell you, my brother, you have vision, passion, conviction. Big Brother happened without community, without partnership. I'm here on this stage. We were Pat and I And that was access to relationships, to mentorship, to connections that could create jobs and opportunities, not only to change their lives, but very importantly, to empower young people. We will tell you about this. 15% more earnings across the time they invested, we returned 7 times. In that same moment of that idea of one person saying we needed to make radical change, radical purpose. We need radical change and radical purpose today, and we need to have leaders and partners that help us to do it. It's about putting empowerment in young people's hands, about navigating out to graduate to do work. We not only change their lives, but we empower them to change their surroundings, to change their community, to change this country, and to ultimately change this world. Let's go.
In a small amount of time, but a deep amount of history. Rarely in your life do you get to see a level playing field. We haven't seen a level playing field yet, but we're seeing one today. And his team for being a part of this changing of the game. I represent the 100 Black Men of America, Inc. 60 years ago, 100 men together. 40 years ago, that became a national organization. AI is that rocket we've been looking for. And they say if the sky's the limit, why are the footprints on the moon? We are going to change the world by changing the tools we use and how we equip our young people, our middle-aged people, and our older people to use the colorful history. We thank you for that opportunity. As I represent, we're over 80 years old.
Symbolic Commitment Board, we want to thank Georgia State University, Dean Phillips, for AILP3 that led up to this. While you're sitting here, a press release has been issued about Hope AI. The website has gone up for Hope AI. We are going to go. Now, here's how you participate. I'm on a college campus. I have a church, a synagogue, a mosque, a Boys and Girls Club, a community office. I want to be on my block, a Links Car organization, whatever. I want to be part of this. I want to have a club. I will coordinate that, meaning you. I'll coordinate Hope AI and financial literacy coaching in my community. You become the quarterback. You become the hero and the shero that changes our world. Yeah, I'm here for my great mayor, by the way. A couple great mayors.
Hope AI. Very, very exciting. Now let's keep it moving because I am honored to introduce two and moderating our talk, the editor-in-chief of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Mr. Leroy Chapman.
Big margins, so they operate on mandates. And both of you are strong mayors, meaning that you have your hands on the day-to-day operations of the city. I mean, it might mean you work out too. I shook your hand in your hand, so I think, you know, you're strong mayors in that term. But let's get right into it. As chief executives, you set the agenda. So what investments are you making today that is aimed at shaping the future of the long-term health of your city? And we'll start on the end here with you, Mayor Young.
Yeah, I think well, first, thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be. It's an important investment we can make is in our youth and in our young people. And the city of Memphis proper is not responsible for education. That's the county government. We actually have to help this past year, which is the most we've ever had in Memphis. Yeah, thank you for that. Which is the most we've ever had in Memphis. Yeah, thank you for that. We have an ambitious goal of getting what you can't see. And hope that we want them to aspire towards. And so that's really the biggest to aspire towards. And so that's really the biggest investment that we're making is investments in our young people, our program.
Pay off in the future.
Yeah, I appreciate it to see so many friends and so many got a whole lot in common.
Yes.
I remember as you know years and so many got a whole lot in common.
Yes.
I remember as you know years ago, it was to make sure that we're one safe city, a city of opportunity for all, a city built for the future, and a city certainty so that you know how you're built for the future, and a city certainty so that you know how you're going to but also safety for your personal safety, your family safety. It's affordable housing. It's about small business investment. It's about making sure that the economic engines of this city works for everyone, that opportunities are built for the future. What are we doing to make sure that this future, that we're future ready, future proof, if you even imagine that, and you think about all of that, and you think about all the things we're doing in technology. I create private equity investment to make sure that this city is a city that you mentioned when you're thinking about technology. Of course,